mankind hesitated to eradicate the creatures that stand in the path of his conquest. If we find ritual extirpation, undesirable, odors from another world, the rest must be destroyed. Is it possible that our dark past watch them and pray?
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, government agents, those who still believe the swastika counts as a symbol of good luck and prosperity, and anybody who might be listening. This is Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. I'm your host, Tasker, and we have Nick.
Hello, yes, it's me again. First off, very rude of you to discount the swastika like that. And second of all, I just want to say I'm having a great day. I hope everybody else there is having a great day as well.
Oh, yeah. Where are you coming to us from today?
I'm in Munich.
Ah, very scenic over there, I think, right?
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's just so much history. It's just so much beer, right? We drink warm beer, which is interesting. And we also drink milk. You ever had bratwurst straight from Munich before?
Not straight from Munich, but I have had a brat before. They're delicious.
Oh, it's just so good. They're so good, right? It's the big sausages, right? So full of meat, and they pack the meat, and then you put it in your mouth, and you go, it's so good, right? You drink it down with some ale. One thing that they tell us we do in Germany is they tell us we hate the Jews and we don't hate the Jews. Okay,
there it is. I'm glad you're become a spokesperson for the German people.
I mean, we never have hated them before, right? In any of our history, we've never ever done anything like that. So if you're hearing rumors, right, in your school textbooks, online, internet forums, it's all conspiracy theory. Nothing happened.
What if I told you that maybe a lot of these Jewish hating types might not actually be in Germany at all anymore, then that they might actually be more Western nowadays?
I say, woo, what a relief, right? Because then it's not on us anymore. So,
well, good for you. I'm glad you can meander about and enjoy your culture without any of the predispositions.
Just kidding. It's me. It's Nick. I'm not German. I'm not in Germany. You wouldn't catch me dead in Germany. No offense, guys. I know we have listeners in Germany. It's a great place, I'm sure. All right. But it's.
Oh, yeah. I know for a second. If you got a chance to go to Oktoberfest, you'd be there and harassing barmaids, not even sexually. You would just be like hitting them with like all kinds of like nerdy alien facts and like how to like save their vibrations and souls for the Galactic Federation and shit.
Oh, easily, man. Oktoberfest sounds dope. I would go there. These barmaids, these wenches, right? I think is the right term. And they'd come up with their bosoms in my face and be like, "Hey, nice tits, man. But have you heard about the Pleiadians? Can I tell you about my Lord and Savior, the Pleiadians?"
That sounds like the title of your autobiography. Hey, nice tits, ma'am. Have you heard about the Pleiadians? I'd buy it. Wow. So interesting start to today. We're delving into, this is our first Nazi episode, huh?
Yeah, we've mentioned them in the past. I've accused NASA multiple times of being Nazis, rightfully so. But this is the first time that we are actually talking about them historically.
Yeah, because the thing is with Nazis, they always kind of have this, like, obviously they've done all these like horrible things, and that's why the swastika is ruined forever. And the whole idea, and they're bad. They're bad people that did really bad things. But we normally don't really cover more historical stuff like to this extent. But there is a lot of like magical, spiritual, negative energy, something, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, we found an excuse to do a cool Nazi episode.
We did. And look, guys, we're not going to be getting into the energies, and we're not going to be getting it. But Tasker has a very good point, because the things that the Nazis did during their time on this planet definitely contributed to the fact that we are not allowed in the Galactic Federation. That was a big no-no. That was a big oopsie daisy.
Put us back a couple hundred years, very likely. And, if you thought that when they gave you an extra $1 in change and you kept it on purpose, because accidents are different. When you keep it on purpose and you thought, fuck, I got that bad karma is going to fuck me over for the rest of the day. Oh boy. We'll only be getting talk about bad karma when we're talking about the Nazis is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, it's what we in the industry call an oopsie daisy, right? Yep. What they did.
Certified oopsie daisy. Oh my God. Which of course was the result of a single maniac's push for power and control and descent to madness, basically, I assume.
Yeah, but the thing is, man, is you have to. It's like, yeah, you know, it was pushed by one man, but then all these people fell in line. All these SS scientists and all these SS officers, they're like, hey, this sounds pretty cool. This is just giving me an excuse to cut a bunch of people open and do all the kinds of shit. Hey, let's hit this Hitler guy's not so bad, man. He's giving me free. He's like got my own laboratory, and I got a bunch of Jewish prisoners, and it's like, come on, man. I'm like a kid in a candy store.
This is going to be the episode where they misquote us like crazy, where they're just going to quote that as if that was actually from you.
Yeah, they probably will, dude. I'll find these clips on YouTube of me talking about how I'm a kid in a candy store because I have my own laboratory and Jewish prisoners.
On the when we find our cancel thread on Twitter, it'll just be like, quote, Hitler was a pretty cool guy, end quote, Nick. I can't wait.
Oh man, we are in a lot of trouble with this episode.
We're taking a big risk with this one, and by I and we, I mean you. So
yes,
it's going to be interesting. But things sound a little,
we have to make it funny. Because we got a very generous. What am I? Dude, I feel hungover today.
Sounds like a race, a generous.
Generous. We got a very, very generous donation on our coffee. It was a really good amount of money, and they said thanks for keeping comedy alive.
Yeah, dude. Anonymous, thank you for the $50, man. Fuck, like that helps us a lot with hosting. That helps us a lot. As we said before, that's an exorbitant amount of money. That's a lot of money. So holy shit, you didn't have to do that at all. But we are putting it to good use. Like we said, it's going to go to our hosting. It's going to help to keep the show going. And yeah, thanks, man. Seriously, fuck yeah, we appreciate it. And we hope you don't eat your words on this episode because it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, because like you guys know how it goes, man. Unfortunately, the topic today is low-hanging fruit for Nick, and Nick is going to be picking said fruit. So I can't control some of the things that I say. Mm-hmm. And it's a problem, right? I have an issue. I have a problem with myself, and I'm working on it. But that being said, let's talk about Nazis. Let's talk about the many, many things that they did wrong, not just the Holocaust. That was kind of messed up, right? But let's talk about the experiments, and that's what we're talking about today. It's going to be brutal.
Right. So before we bring the vibe down to rock bottom, let's check the stars and see where the vibe is now and see how far we have to fall. How are your stars looking today?
Let's take a look. You could be planning a major journey of some kind, Cancer. It may be a long vacation or travel to foreign countries, or it could be an intellectual or spiritual journey into new schools of thought. Your mind is sharp now, so you will learn quickly to retain more. This is a good time to play detective, or perhaps you will simply want to lose yourself in a good mystery novel.
Huh. You reading a book?
Yeah, that last part kind of... that didn't sit well with me.
You're more on the antagonistic side of like Fahrenheit 451. You're one of the book burners, right?
Yeah, because it's like we got TVs and shit, guys. We got YouTube. Why are we reading? It doesn't make any sense, right? It will never make sense to me. But I will say, as far as the intellectual or spiritual journey portion, I'm always on a spiritual journey of some kind, right? I'm always doing something. I'm always looking into something like that. So I'd say that's fairly accurate.
Yeah. Sweet. The stars, they match in the good vibe?
Kinda. So my sex is a 4 out of 5. That's pretty good.
Nice.
Hustle's a 3 out of 5. Vibe is a 3 out of 5. Unfortunately, my success is a 2 out of 5, though.
Ouch. Does the little smiley face have like a little sad face instead, or?
It's a neutral face with a zipper on its mouth. I don't know what that means, but I think it's because my sex is high and I like BDSM. So I think that's what that means.
Damn, they're really getting good. I mean, I think we just frequent this site so much, they get this specific traffic from us that they're starting to kind of be like, oh, fuck yeah, we'll personalize them a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll look at his Pornhub data and utilize that. Yeah.
All for the sake of capitalism. Which, by the way...
Yes, tell me about capitalism.
Oh, yeah. Which, by the way, if I know it's been a while since the Valentine's episode, but if you got your free week of Pornhub Premium, remember to cancel. If you haven't done that yet, you should do that now.
Cancel. It's going to show up on your credit card. Your wife's going to get real pissed at you because they don't hide that. It just says Pornhub. I know.
Exactly. Yeah, discreet. Like, hell no, dude. They make it so obvious. Like, nah. Not that we would know.
Yeah, not that I have been a subscriber for fucking 3 years, you know.
You just can't. Once you see all the sweat glands and stuff, you just can't go back.
Yeah, that's the best part about porn is the sweat. The sweat, I like it.
It's like it's so HD you can see in detail the fact of all the porn actresses, the hint of sadness in their eyes that they just got conned into a contract into this.
That's almost more sad than the episode today.
Well, that'll be our benchmark. Is it more sad than somebody forced to do porn to make ends meet?
What's worse, the Holocaust or online porn?
We'll let you, listener, be the deciding choice at the end of this episode, because
hell yeah,
I don't think it's good marketing if we do.
No, and you don't want to mix those two things either.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's it. And if you already have, maybe consider not isolating as much as usual. Maybe talk to somebody. Maybe see a therapist. Just in case.
Yeah. Look, if you guys are mixing the Holocaust and porn mentally and emotionally, I need you guys to stop writing your fanfic of the boy in the striped pajamas, which you probably entitled "The Woman in the Striped Pajamas." Don't stop writing it. Burn your computer and walk outside and go listen to some birds, smell some roses. Get out of it. Get out of it, guys.
I'm actually looking that up to see if that's even a thing, because it might be.
Don't do it, because then somebody's gonna. If you say it's not a thing, somebody's like, "Hey, I could do that."
There definitely is. All right. Well, I'm exiting out of that before I need to magnet my computer.
So I'm gonna pull that up later at the end of the episode, and I will read some excerpts from it. Probably.
God. Fucking sometimes just being born with working eyeballs was just a bad idea.
All right, well, Tasker, enough about Nazi porn. How are your stars looking today, man? How's your vibe?
Let's see. Sudden opportunities for advancement may come your way today, Scorpio. Innovative ideas may have paved the way for you, so your skills and abilities are appreciated now. A new awareness of your objectives have made your own path clearer to you, and you may be ready to make your plans a reality. Don't be afraid to take the lead if necessary. You're a natural leader. The little exclamation point at the end.
Look at that. You're a natural leader. You know who else was a natural leader?
Who?
Like Mitt Romney, I think. What do you think I was going to say? That's weird, Tasker. Why'd you laugh? Why'd you have a little giggle and then say that? Who'd you think I was going to say?
Oh, like Pol Pot or like Joseph Stalin.
Oh, sure. Mussolini, Hitler.
Don't you say the H word in my. I'm kidding. I would never censor us to that degree. That even put a bad taste. I almost threw up by saying that.
Good. How are your stars though, man? Like, are you vibing hard? Like, what's your average? Hit me.
Well, average is about 30 seconds, but my stars
not bad.
better than 5 seconds longer than usual. Nice. Sex is a.
You've been doing your Kegels, huh? You've been doing your Kegel exercises, I bet.
Hey, when you have to work at a desk all day, man, you do what you got to prepare for the life outside. Oh my God. Really quickly before we get into stars, though, I would have to say, yeah, horoscope's pretty accurate, because it's amazing what a job that pays you properly will do for your mental health.
It's nice to be compensated for your work. Welcome to the middle stages of capitalism, right? You struggle, and then you struggle a little bit less each time, but you never really win.
Yeah, just the teens. Like, yeah, I'm nowhere near being like fiscally set. Like, I'll be like, all right, cool, sweet, time to buy a house. Like, no, I'm never going to be able to own a house ever in my life. But at least I don't have to live on the streets. That's nice.
Amen to that.
I take my W's when I get them. So
me too, buddy.
Is what it is.
That's high vibe thinking right there. That's high vibration thinking. Good for you, man.
Fuck yeah. We got it while we can, because it's about, like I said, we got to raise it up. So once it all crashes down, we maybe can avoid rock bottom.
Yeah.
But till then, star ratings, sex is a 3 out of 5. Hustle is a 4 out of 5. Vibe is a 3 out of 5. And success is a 2 out of 5. and my little smiley face has like 2 little X's for eyes. He looks dead because I'm incredibly hungover. So I'm actually on your level today. It's interesting.
We're both fucked today. This is the worst episode we could have done with how we're feeling today.
And by it being the worst time to do this episode, might in fact be the best time to do this episode.
Yeah, well, I guess only time will tell. I've been holding my tongue. I haven't said anything remotely offensive yet. So
remotely correct. So I guess we got nothing left to do but to just take a dive, and we got it's a thick one today. There's a lot of information we got to get to, and oh cool, we kept the intro relatively reasonable today.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just not bad. It's as time goes on, our intros get longer, but I like to think that people appreciate it because they like us.
I hope so, yeah. Or there's the dude who's in like the he's got his Confederate flag in the background, his MAGA hat on, he's got his armband, he's like, come on, get to the program. I don't know why he's Austrian, but
yeah, I was like,
he's real fucking excited for it.
Come on, guys, get to the fucking part where the Jews are getting cut up, because I don't have time for all this intro horoscope bullshit.
I don't care what you queers are talking about, what you're up to. Talk about your sex with each other.
Come on, guys, let's talk about Joseph Mengele. He was one of my favorites. All right, that's it, guys. Let's get into the episode. So, hello, welcome, privyet, right? Welcome back to another a fun-filled episode of Close Encounters. Okay, this is going to be a fucking, it's just going to be dandy. And I got to point out up top, this is not our fault. We do have a fan to thank for this episode idea. Right. So, Rassle Frassle, one of our OGs on Discord, this is you, buddy. This is your fault. And this is something that this is on you. So thank you. Thank you.
You suggested it and you didn't think we'd do it. And here we are.
Here we are talking about Nazis. So thank you for suggesting an interesting and such a joyful topic.
Magical even.
Magical. So today, like we said, it's going to be Nazis, and specifically we'll be discussing the experiments which they conducted against humans and what they were trying to achieve with said experiments. So Tasker, I know that you hate banks, right? But keep your anti-Semitic remarks to a minimum on this episode, okay, buddy?
Banks?
Yeah.
Why would I hate a bank? That's where I keep my money. Exactly,
man. They got your money. That's you're torn, dude, because you're so Jewish that you hate the Jews.
Wow, is that how it goes? You get so dedicated, you just cave in on yourself.
Yeah. Actually, there's somebody we will be talking about today who did the same thing. It's very sad.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. This is gonna be great. I'm excited.
I can't even get through the intro, man. This is gonna suck. All right.
Right. So of course we're gonna try our best to give this the respect it deserves, but why do I even bother? Let's just see where we end up, huh? Keep it natural.
Keep it natural. All right, ladies, gentlemen, without further delay, I want you to put on your Doc Martens, right? Press your uniforms, make sure they're snazzy. Take a benevolent ancient symbol and use it for terrible purposes so no one else can ever use it again. Swastikas.
Yeah.
And let's dive right into this shit.
I found a little fact about swastikas. I guess because originally they were like a good luck symbol, but it's because they're supposed to symbolize the sun.
See, that's the thing is, and it makes sense when you look at it the way that the Hindus have it. But then the Nazis were like, they were like graphic design geniuses, bro. Like, what if they're like, let's flip it and then put it at an angle, dude? And they're like, whoa.
I mean, it stood the test of time, man. And still to this day, their graphic design choice is now a universal symbol of hatred. So one could say that is good graphic design.
See, there's a lot of things we could say about the Nazis that are technically like good. Like, I don't want to say good as in like moral, but like Hitler was a good leader. Like, he knew how to captivate and efficient. But Hitler was a good, like a efficient leader. He could captivate audiences and convince them of shit. But he unfortunately used his powers for what we now know as the Holocaust, right?
A whole lot of other shit, because the dude, all he cared about was taking over the world. Like,
oh yeah, oh man, there. I have a little section in here about like the history that we're gonna get into, but he was all about two things: hating Jews and German expansionism. That's all they were about. And whatever, they're a bunch of retards. Nazis are retards. But let's get into this.
Right.
So, first things first, I'm going to be giving a little bit of background. Now, guys, this is not a history podcast. However, a bit of a brush up on Nazi history can't hurt before we talk about the Nazis, okay?
Quick reminder, if you're going to quote us in your history presentation, don't
do it. Actually do it. and then tell your classmates to listen to Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind for more.
Yeah. Actually, no. And if that's the angle you're going to take, then by all means, you know what? Hell yeah. In fact, we'll endorse you. We'll send you a personalized message to help you.
You can use anything from this first section in your report. Don't use what I said right before when I was talking about, oh, Hitler's a good leader. Don't say that. You're gonna get kicked out of school. Okay.
Oh yeah, especially in this day and age.
Okay, so let's begin directly after the end of World War I. Now, Germany, as you can imagine, was torn, and there was much infighting between the far left and the far right, as it was a time of turmoil and political upheaval right after the war, right? Because now we're trying to figure out, okay, so apparently that didn't work. Who's going to be taking over the country right now? Who should be in charge of our country after a massive loss of a world war, an entire war?
Yeah. So did the Kaiser did he get killed or?
Yes. I forgot his name, but yeah. So basically, Kaisers after World War I was no mas. Okay. Now, a few people decided to take advantage of the social and political unrest in Germany. Anton Drexler, a locksmith, Karl Herrer, a journalist, Dietrich Eckart, another journalist, and Gottfried Feder, an economist. These four men got together to create a right-wing political party on January 5th, 1919. This party would be known as National Sozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, aka NSDAP, aka National Socialist German Workers' Party, aka the Nazis.
Oh boy, it's crazy to think that all this really did begin from four dudes in a pub.
Yeah, it was. There was a little backstory is there's a lot of these little groups, these political groups in Germany at this time, trying to become the next big hot thing. Right? There was communist groups, there was socialists, there was fascists, there was capitalists, there was all kinds of these little political groups trying to gain power in Germany. And this was just one of them. This is just one in the sea of many that happened to get lucky. Right?
Damn. So it's just kind of a luck of the draw thing.
Exactly. Now, right off the bat, these founding members of the party weren't cool with Jews. I'm just going to put it that way. Okay. That was one of their main focuses of this political party, even when there was just four members.
Interesting.
And they saw a paramilitary future for Germany in order to target and fight against communism and capitalism. They didn't like either one of them.
Okay, so that's really interesting because I think a lot of people get like, I was under the impression that the Nazis were a communist party, but they weren't. They actually wanted, well, in the precursor stages right now as it stands, they're like communism and capitalism both suck.
Yes. Yeah. And with this being said, hating the Jews and being really militaristic wasn't something that came from the evolution of the party. And that's something I think that's important to point out. It was pretty much their focus from the very beginning. Like they started this party with four people. They're like, okay, guys, what's on the agenda for our first meeting? Jews suck. And so does any other form of economics besides socialism. And then they're like, yay, all right, cool. For a moment, let's shift our focus to a young, misunderstood artist named Adolf Hitler. Tasker, do you know how it feels to be a young, misunderstood artist?
Well, I didn't feel misunderstood. I was just bad at art, and I knew it. Hitler strikes me as a guy of high aspirations and a guy who always thought he was meant to be something great. And art is not really forgiving unless you are amazing right out the gate. So I'm going to say My agent is telling me to say, no, I don't know what that feels like.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure, man, because we don't need a Fourth Reich. That's not something the world needs, okay?
I would not survive a day in politics. There's just no way.
Well, anyway, after Hitler served in the German army during World War I, he had a very tough time getting back into the life of a civilian, as a lot of people in the military do even to this day. It's very hard to get back into civilian life. Like, I don't know from personal experience, but I've heard many stories from people I know that you just can't adjust.
Yeah, and I heard the government just completely dips on you, too.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they're like, well, you should have thought of that before you served. Sucker.
Sucker.
Wow.
But lucky for old Addy, he found a job which was for civilians. However, this was a job which would be helping the German army. So he's like, hey, this is perfect. I can't be in the army anymore, but I get to kind of be in that scope. So the job was to be a spy and informant, something the army and government thought they needed because of the major political unrest happening throughout the country. They were worried about a revolution, which they probably should have been worried about.
Yeah, reasonable.
Because it happened.
Yeah. Yes. So they didn't do a good job.
No. And we'll find out why, man, because Hitler fucked him over. So his job would be to attend meetings of different political parties, the little ones I mentioned that were starting to sprout up, all throughout Germany. And he would report any revolutions or rebellious ideas that were being talked about against the current government. Well, on September 12th, 1919, Hitler attended a meeting for the German Workers' Party. He was supposed to remain silent in these meetings and obviously not draw any attention to himself, like a spy, right? Like a fucking spy should do. But Hitler's not a very bright bulb, right? He's not very smart. So, one of the I have to roast him when I can, right? I can't just say he's a great leader and just keep saying that. I also have to say he was a drug addict retard, you know?
Yeah, that's a good balance. I'm glad you're keeping it at a good medium for everybody.
Good. So one of the founding members we mentioned before, Feder, was giving his views at a meeting on why he was against capitalism when an audience member at the meeting began questioning him rudely about his views. So at that moment, something struck Adolf, and he stood up for Feder and started roasting the audience member, completely disregarding his job as a spy. So I guess Hitler was just kind of like, you know what? These people are making some very good points. Yeah. I also like what they said about the Jews. That was pretty cool. But like, he was into it. He was like, he was feeling the vibe. He was vibing.
His political career started by knocking down a heckler, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God.
Because directly after this meeting, one of the other founding members, Drexler, approached Hitler and asked him if he'd like to join the Nazi party, to which Hitler said, oh, hell yeah, right? He was all stone cold about that. He was ready.
Yeah.
And then he resigned from his spy job in the German army to focus on the party fully. And from that point, Hitler began rising the ranks very quickly, because not even a year later, he was appointed as the party's chief of propaganda. Like, not even a full year, dude. He was already pumping out propaganda for the party.
Wow. How, not subtle at all.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So after some drama, and look, guys, I'm not going into the full list. This is a whole thing. Like, there could be entire podcasts about just this period of the Nazis coming to power. I'm not giving the full list, but I'm just saying, after some drama, he was eventually elected the leader of the party on July 28th, 1921. He rose up stupid fast. That's not even 2 years after he joined.
Ooh, yeah, they liked him.
They liked him, and he just knew the right things to say. That's what I'm saying. And he's a charismatic dude, unfortunately, and he just made his way up to the top, right? So once he was the party leader, he began shifting their focus hard on anti-Semitism and German expansionism. Hard. Basically, they wanted to take over the world. That's what German expansionism means. They were just like, okay, guys, let's start here and just kind of move outward and see where we stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's interesting, though, too, because I heard that in his internal workings, Hitler might not have been as anti-Semitic, but it was what was working. And people, I'm sure he definitely was, but like he was more interested in, like you said, the taking over the world part, and persecuting Jewish people was just kind of a platform to get him there because it worked, like the hatred, and that's what got people to give him undying devotion. And it was more of a means to an end, I think. I don't know. What do you think about that?
There are definitely some people in the Nazi party, higher ups throughout World War II, who were more into it and got more revel from it. But he had this mysticism, this Aryan mysticism that he was pursuing as well. And I think the Jews had were a big thing for him. Not just the Jews, but like a lot of people were persecuted during the Holocaust. There was gypsies, blacks, retards, or mentally handicapped. I don't know. Whatever. Fuck it. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, it was pretty much like, that's the thing that I think a lot of people, it's like, I mean, we know it, but it's not always highlighted that like the Jewish folk. Well, the reason why the Jewish folk are put on the number one list, because they were the ones that took the biggest hits from this, because there was such a dense population of Jewish people living in Germany at the time. And it's incredibly sad and horrible. But there was a ton of that. Like I said, it was more about, hey, fuck them to keep yourself alive, is basically what it turned into. Is, hey, you better keep killing everybody else, otherwise we're going to kill you. And that became a fear tactic. Like you said, there was a lot of shit going, a lot of moving pieces that kept this machine moving.
Exactly, because we have the militaristic side of Hitler that a lot of people know about, but then there's the mystical side of Hitler that was very 100% historically true, but not talked about as much. And it's this idea that there is a master race, the Aryans, blonde hair, blue eyes, like the Nordic aliens, that he was striving to have a future run by that race, and that's why he was trying to systematically destroy anything that didn't resemble that. And I think he used that as an outlet on the Jews, because I think they in general were just anti-Semitic, but then they used the, hey, let's get the Aryan race thing going, and they're like, let's start with the Jews, like let's get that over with first, because that's like my specialty in junk, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and how sad that it was just sort of like a throwaway of like, well, let's just get this part over with, and then we can move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So for anybody, it's that whole thing of, what was it, that quote? It's like, when they came after such and such, I said nothing. When they came after such and such, I said nothing. When they came after such and such, I said nothing. But when they came after me, nobody said anything.
Yep.
Bad people doing bad things. And the thing is, like we said before, this is trying to run an entire evil regime to take over the planet. I mean, the government barely works as is. So if you're trying to pull off an agenda like that, like you said, there's a lot of pieces, a lot of complicated mechanisms, and a lot of really fucked up people to make that work.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna get into all of it today. Today is gonna just be a buffet of fucked up acts by fucked up people who call themselves doctors. It's awesome.
Oh boy. So a little bit more of the history, and then we'll get to the gross bits, huh?
Yeah, this is just a buffer. Honestly, because I'm stalling. So we'll get there. We will get there, though.
We're hesitating.
So the Nazi Party went to prison in November of 1923, famously after attacking a beer hall where Bavarian government leaders were meeting. Now, the reason behind this attack was that they thought they should first take over the Bavarian government and then take over the German government from there. And this is where things have been escalating. So in prison, this is where Adolf famously writes Mein Kampf, My Struggle, right? And what kind of Jesus, what a whiny bitch, My Struggle. Dude, that sounds like an Evanescence song, dude. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's one of those things you really look back on history. If it wasn't for the impact it had on the world, it really was some like sissy poetry bullshit stuff, huh?
Yeah, and he that book is just full of blaming the Jews for his problems that he put himself in. And
it's just whining.
It's just a bunch of whining, man. So this attack on the beer hall resulted in the Nazi Party being banned from Germany, actually altogether. So let's skip forward a little bit. Hitler became so essentially there were some workarounds, more drama behind the scenes stuff I don't have time to list. Basically, they were able to snake their way back in. Hitler became Chancellor of Germany on January 30th, 1933. And this is where shit hits the fan.
Really quick,
yes.
if you don't mind. When Hitler became chancellor, he didn't like do it his first try. Like he definitely like fucked it up a couple times. Like, but they found like every time he would run and he would run until finally he won by getting that, because he was a really good speaker and he had to find that right level of, kind of like what Trump did, that right level of hatred to get people on board, but not feel like a bunch of murderers.
And that's the fine line that he walked, but he like you said, he's such a good speaker that he was able to just make a word salad and people were like, oh, wow, this guy's making a lot of sense. Wow, stars on jackets? Yeah, I'm down for that. Let's identify him. Yeah.
Oh, dear. But yeah, as you said, he became chancellor and things went from bad to worse.
Exactly, because not long after, guys, like literally 2 months later, Hitler, after some sabotage and political acrobats, Hitler was officially in control of Germany as a dictator in March of 1993. And with full control, Hitler and the Nazi Party's focus on hating Jews and expansionism was in full swing. And the rest is history. Get it? You see what I did? The rest is history.
Yeah, I did. We're not a history podcast, you fucking piece of shit.
Hey, I can write clean jokes every once in a while, okay?
No, you're right. I should be encouraging that, actually. I think maybe I'm half the reason we go down this like hall of degeneracy.
Yeah, because every time I make a cute little pun, you call me a dickhead, and then I have to start making Nazi jokes again, and then I hate myself for it.
It's like that's the part of the podcast you never get to hear, is the part where I just go off on Nick and just make a bunch of personal insults, just cut it all out.
Hey, nice clean joke, asshole. What are you, Brian Regan? Shut the fuck up.
You think you're in charge? I'm in charge.
This is my podcast. All right. You better have that outline done, buddy.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm gonna recut it and make you sound like a fucking pro-Nazi Trumper.
That's all right. I'll do it myself.
No. Good Thanos energy there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, that was my little introduction. That was my little background on the Nazi Party, just so we're all on the same page as to how they came to power, okay? So I've stalled long enough. Professor Nick is done. I'm taking off the lab coat, and now I'm putting on my Doc Martens. So thank you for sticking around, and there will be a pop quiz. So we need to get into why we are here. The experiments that the Nazis conducted on humans throughout World War II. Okay. And just fair warning, I don't give trigger warnings because we don't say that. This isn't Tumblr. That's not something that we say, right? Because we don't really care. No offense.
Yeah.
But I will say that there's a lot of dead people and stuff. All right. So if you're not cool with dead people, go watch Barney or something. All right.
Well, and also too, like, I mean, to be fair, the episode's called Nazi Human Experiments, and like, if that kind of stuff like puts you in a bad space, why did you hit play? Like,
yeah, like if you're a Holocaust survivor, we don't recommend listening to this episode. Okay,
probably a bad idea. But so that's our not trigger warning at all trigger warning.
yeah, we just don't call it that because we think that's a really shitty term to use. But
nah, we call it a gracious statement of caution.
Yes, yeah, we make it sound fancy because we're not SJ Dubs.
Nope, we are own men who don't follow no rules.
That's right. Yeah, but I can make my own food sometimes, and I could do my own laundry. I don't need a woman, you know.
Yeah, I make my mac and cheese the way I want
it. Yeah, with hot dogs in it.
Yeah, and actually too, if you there's you can get these like kind of like garlic sausage things. And if you garlic sausage with mac and cheese is like stupid good.
That sounds pretty tasty. That sounds really tasty.
Yeah, it's really good. It's just like an extra $1 because the hot dogs are pretty cheap, and you could get some like, you know, off-brandish whatever. It's really fucking good. I recommend it to everybody.
What if you just made mac and cheese, but you put full cloves of garlic in it while cooking?
That could also be very good.
God damn, I'm hungry. Hungry.
What have we done?
Fuck, man. It's too early.
Not the best time to get ourselves hungry either, huh?
No, because there's a lot of imagery later on that you're going to wish you weren't thinking about while eating. So it'll make us not hungry. We'll just have to get to that part and we'll be fine.
Just say let's just try not to think about ground beef as much anymore, huh? Or pork.
No, ground beef, pork, steak. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Boy. All right.
Okay. Let's get into it. So the experiments that we'll be talking about today will be broken down into 3 separate categories. The first category are experiments for the survival of their military personnel. The second are drug and treatment experiments. And third will be experiments revolving around the racial and ideological goals of Hitler and the Nazi Party. Basically, their Aryan race, master race bullshit.
Nice. I mean, well, not nice, but
okay.
Cool.
All right. Look, I didn't think it would take you this short of amount of time to start becoming like a Hitler sympathizer.
Oh man, it always comes back to just because I went to art school. See, no, I got in and I graduated. So no, I've avoided that path long ago.
That's fine, man. That's fine, but you still hate banks, and I feel that.
I don't though. Why would anybody keep all of their money in their mattress?
Because then you don't have to trust anybody else with your money. You know, like I keep all of my money somewhere in my house, which I will not say because we are on the internet and I cannot tell you guys where it is. I haven't been with a bank since I was like 16 years old and I had like an ATM card.
So whenever you work, you get your paycheck, you just cash out or into wherever it is it goes.
Cash it out at a liquor store, hide it in my guitar amp. I mean, hide it in something that's not my guitar amp.
So, Nick, that guitar amp looks a lot bigger than usual. You mind if I use it? Nope. Why?
Nope.
Fuck, what are those things called? Really, really old things.
Antique.
It's an antique.
Yeah, don't touch it.
Well, good for you. I'm glad it makes you feel like your future is secured.
Good. I'm in control of my money and the Jews aren't. All right.
Well,
here we go. Oh, here we go. It has begun. So let's Jesus, this is going to suck. Let's begin with experiments that have to do with the survival of the German and Axis military forces. So at Dachau, the infamous concentration camp, doctors, and I put doctors in quotes on the outline because moving forward on the entire episode, guys, if you ever hear me say the word doctor, take it with a grain of salt, okay?
Yeah, people in a coat and a knife with no credentials are not doctors, generally.
Yes, or if they even had credentials at one point in their lives, I'm pretty sure they take an oath to not harm people. So just, if you hear me say the word doctor, it's just because it's the easiest term to use. They're probably better terms for them, like butchers, okay?
Yeah, or
assholes,
serial killers, and assholes. Oh man.
So doctors at Dachau from the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, conducted experiments on prisoners to figure out safe altitudes for paratroopers or pilots to eject from damaged aircraft. They were trying to figure out that maximum altitude, okay? And basically what this means is they would fly prisoners up to a very high altitude and shove them out with a parachute to see if A, they would be able to breathe outside the craft at that altitude, or B, if the parachute would work properly at such a high altitude. Spoiler alert, guys, most of the time, it didn't really work out for them, okay? And moving forward with this episode, when you hear me say the word prisoner or victim, I am talking about concentration camp prisoners. So Jews, gypsies, blacks, mentally handicapped, the gay people, anybody that you've ever heard about being in a concentration camp were used for these experiments. So,
yeah, could have been any of them. And I mean, it is really sad because they were going to be killed no matter what. And this is just what happened. That was just a little bit of a different way to be murdered by the Nazis. And getting shoved out of an aircraft and just see if you'll live or die is a very shitty way to go. And I can almost guarantee that even if you did survive, they'd be like, okay, cool, thanks. Pow, one into between the eyes and then go to the next one.
That's how it went every time. With any of these experiments, even if it worked, it doesn't matter. They'd still kill you. So,
yep, literal human test subjects. So, Oh man, so I'm doing my best to depersonalize it. Otherwise, I'm going to be really sad.
Just think of happy things, man. Just confuse your feelings, right? So you're hearing about all this horrible shit, but then just think about like anime titties or something, and then get those feelings confused, and then see where your future takes you as an artist. Okay.
All right, that does sound like that's half of why anime is around, is to just completely lose sight of reality and to not have to observe the objectively horrible present.
Yeah. I wouldn't watch anime for that reason, because watching anime to me is like going through the Holocaust. So I'm not going to do it. Sorry.
Every cell in your body just screams in pain as if they're all being tortured.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like I'm being experimented on when I have to read subtitles. So.
Whatever, man.
Okay, and another experiment in this category, or I should say a group of experiments, and is the freezing and hypothermia experiments. And this is one of the most infamous of the experiments, I should say.
Yeah, this is one you've probably all heard of. I know I've heard of this one before. It's really sad.
So I want you guys to picture this. Okay. Time travel back into World War II. You're part of the German army. Shame on you. And Russia has hop sides over to the Allies. So now you have to try to take Russia. In the middle of winter, by the way. So thousands of German soldiers had died due to the cold because of the fact that they were just not prepared for a cozy Russian winter when trying to take the motherland. Enter Dr. Sigmund Rascher, another quote-unquote doctor who reported directly to Himmler, Hitler's right-hand man. So he was high up there, which is scary.
Yikes.
Dr. Rascher conducted experiments on at both Dachau and Auschwitz on prisoners in order to figure out how they could combat hypothermia and freezing on their soldiers. These experiments were broken down into two parts. One, where they would see how long it takes for the body temperature to get low enough to cause unconsciousness and death. And the other part was to figure out how to treat a frozen person or a person with extreme hypothermia to see if they could essentially resuscitate them.
Oh.
You guys know where this is going. This is going to suck. So, they use two main ways to freeze their victims for science, of course.
Naturally.
They would either simulate the temperatures by putting them in an ice cold vat of water, or just throw them outside naked in below zero temperatures, strapped to a gurney. They tended to lean more towards the vat method because of two facts. The first, that it just got the body temperature down faster because they were physically in water instead of having to wait for the air to freeze them. And second, because they could actually control the temperature a lot easier with vats because, they can't control the weather. So they tended to use the vat method a lot more.
Yeah, that's sad because they really just, the humanity was just gone. To them, they were just test subjects. They were just objects to find results.
Exactly, because they saw them as a literal different species. The Nazis saw the Jews and all these different people in the concentration camps as actual animals that they didn't even register as human to them. So it's really fucked.
Jeez, yeah. The reality when that shit really kicks in, it's like, damn. So, and that's why I think it's good to do episodes like these and look into like that kind of history to remember like how far dehumanization can go. Like we all think, no, that would never happen again. It happened once. Dude, fuck. Trump lives long enough, we might see our first American fascist dictator someday.
Yeah. There's a coup going on behind the scenes of him trying to get back in power, I'm sure.
Yeah, and although we may have been wrong about the Second American Civil War a couple months ago, who's to say that it's only been delayed?
Exactly. Another civil war in America is bound to happen eventually. It's just got to be the right time at the right situation, and boom, it's going to set off. It's going to be the left versus the right instead of the north versus the south this time. And remember, guys, I'm sticking with my thing. Whoever pays me the most, I'm in. So,
yeah, we already have a plan, and we suggest. Remember, we're a conspiracy podcast. You should make a plan too.
Make a plan. Buy a gun. So, when talking about the victims for these particular experiments, they used, in specific, Jewish prisoners, and Russian POWs. And they made sure to choose the healthiest ones they could find for control purposes, basically. The prisoners were forced to get naked, and they had an insulated probe shoved into their asses to track the body temperature. And if you think that sounds bad, let me tell you how the probe stayed in place inside of said asshole.
Oh, no.
So once inside, it had a metal ring component on it, which would expand and open up, pushing up against the inner walls of the victim's rectum.
Oh, so like they were basically just getting dilated the whole time, huh?
Yep.
Oh, that's disgusting. And on top of being wow. And I'm sure that was not fun.
It does not sound like a groovy time at all. It doesn't sound like, I mean, getting things put up your butt like with consent is groovy. Like that sounds like a good time. But then when you're stripped naked by Nazis and then something shoved into your butt that expands and then you're thrown into like ice cold vats, that's not very few people have a kink for that, you know?
Yeah. And I have a feeling those thermometer things were not built for comfort.
No, they were quite large. Because back then you have to think about the track. It was basically a piece of technology that they used to track body temperature, and they didn't have the most advanced small technology we have today. So it was quite large and bulbous.
Pretty barbaric is where we're at right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically getting sodomized, which sucks, man.
Ouch.
Woo!
Oh boy. So that's yikes.
And for the 3 people out there listening whose wieners wiggled a little bit, fucking turn this podcast off.
Yeah.
All right?
It's just going to get worse from out. You're going to awaken something and, you know, you're probably going to find yourself in jail getting your book offer soon.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you'll get something put in your butt in jail. So,
yep. Oh, man.
All right. And from there, they would be put into the vat and then their body temperatures would be tracked. For those of you fucked up and curious enough to wonder, like I was, the victims I looked it up, the victims would usually lose consciousness and shortly after die when their body temperatures hit around 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a big drop. It doesn't sound like much because you're like, oh, 77 degrees, that's like a nice sunny California day. Your body temperature is supposed to be at 98 degrees, and anything below or above that, even by a couple degrees, that's when you start getting fucked. Picture 21 degrees below what it's supposed to be. Then you're literally a corpse. So
yeah, well, it's almost the same logic as like blood alcohol content, like blood alcohol. What's it called?
You stroking out?
I'm stroking hard. Blood alcohol content, is that what it is?
Yeah, BAC.
I think you had it. Well, it's kind of like blood alcohol content where it's like, yeah, if you blow a 0.1, like it's not a huge deal, but a 1.0 is like, oh shit, like that's that's not good.
Hey, speaking of blood alcohol content and being a douchebag, doesn't my new vape look like a breathalyzer?
It kind of does, actually. It's like kind of like a breathalyzer from Cyberpunk, or at least that Blade Runner.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. That's the future, baby. Woo!
There we go. See, like we said, we're trying to bring the vibe up as much as we can in our little pockets because this is some really sad things.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm being respectful.
Absolutely.
Okay, so talking about these experiments, there is a particular story about 2 very strong Russian young men who were chosen for this experiment. But they lasted much, much longer than others had in the past. So one of the doctors said to take them out to conduct more experiments on them, basically to figure out why they hadn't essentially died yet. But this was denied, and the SS doctor overseeing everything adjusted the temperatures of the vat just enough to increase and prolong their pain, and just kept doing this until the 2 men finally died. So they didn't get anything out of it. He was just like, hey, they're being tough. Let's just kill them in a fun way. And then they just fucked with them for hours upon hours until they finally died.
So they actually had a moment to do some doctoring throughout all the torture bullshit they were doing. They actually had a moment to actually maybe figure something out and learn something, but they were just like, that's annoying to throw alive.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an annoyance. Let's go ahead and just fuck with them until they die. Yeah.
So see, that's why quote unquote doctors they weren't really trying to figure anything out.
No, ladies, let's just say you wouldn't want this guy to be your OBGYN, okay?
No. And I know there have been like comparisons of the people who were like these like Nazi doctors who enjoyed this work that actually were just serial killers who were just allowed to be serial killers, basically.
That's what most of this came out to be. This is what most of the people doing this. There was two categories. There was the serial killer doctors, and then there were the doctors who basically feared for their lives if they didn't do what the Nazis and the SS officer or SS doctors said. So,
yeah, because this was even the point where I'd venture to say that even Nazis were kind of like, this might be a little much.
Yeah, they're like, hey man, I'm all for, the gas chamber. That's groovy.
Right.
But this is a little extra. Like, in the SS officer's like, nine, you keep doing it. You keep killing some of the Zavats now. And they're like, all right, man, fuck.
Yeah, it's so sad because that's how they kept doing it, was because when the soldiers were questioning it, they were like, well, if I say anything, I'm going to be the next one to get my eyeballs stabbed by Mengele. So, yeah, maybe I'll just stay here in my cozy uniform.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a sad time for everybody except for the SS.
Yeah, at least for the time being. And then after, like, liberation, I know some of them definitely got some good comeuppance that they deserved.
Yep, exactly. So, now that we know about the freezing portion of the experiment, let's start talking about the resuscitation part of the experiment. Equally as fucked up. So one method of trying to combat the freezing was to use sun lamps, and not suggested, because basically the frozen victims were put under intense heated sun lamps. I can't say that word, dude. I've my entire life I've had the hardest time to say that word.
Sun lamps?
Lamps. Yeah,
it's kind of a weird word.
I have to like try to say that word.
Lamp. Oh, yeah.
Sun lamps.
Is that your Hawaiian coming out?
Maybe it might be the pigeon. The pigeon's poking through a little bit, dude. It's
Pigeons
like,
speak.
come on, Nick, you got to start doing it. You're getting older. I'm like, no.
Well, hey, good for you. I'm glad you're making your strides.
But essentially what happened, these frozen, almost dead victims would be put under sun lamps, and they were so hot that the skin on the victims would bubble and burn. And one notable story is of a gay man who they chose for this particular method. He was frozen to unconsciousness and brought back with sun lamps over and over and over again. Like, boom, frozen down to unconsciousness and then brought right back up with sun lamps, and his skin was burnt and over again. And then eventually, of course, after multiple sessions, he died. Naturally. Like, I don't know what else they expected. I mean, that was probably the end goal anyway, but...
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's the end goal of half of these things. Most of it was just a cover-up for fun, heavy quotes on the fun, creative ways to murder people, because they're probably just bored and sadistic, and they're like, hey, like, let's fuck with some people. Like, why not?
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. A lot of this shit's extra, and there's no reason for it.
Yep. No science. They didn't even, because I know there was, and it's so sad too, but there were some like Nazi experiments that did actually get results and that are used today, even, which is real sad because nobody wants to admit that it's through torturous human experimentation that we were able to figure these things out. I don't know a lot of the specifics. Isn't like a vitamin like B, wasn't that part of a Nazi experiment?
Yes, it was.
Which is the active ingredient in most energy drinks and like 5-hour energy, the stuff where it gives you energy with no come down or no
crash
or whatever. No crash. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. So if you guys drink energy drinks, you're kind of a Nazi.
Yeah, way to go.
Stop it.
Sad.
I had 3 energy drinks this weekend. What does that make me? Am I an SS officer now?
Drink 3 more and I think you might be.
Nice. Do we all shoot for the stars?
Oh my god!
Get it? The stars. We all shoot for the stars. Get it?
Wait, I get it because that's what they did to identify Jewish people.
Yeah, and you shoot for them anyway.
That's fucking horrible.
See, I got jokes on jokes.
That's bad. That's bad. So, And actually, though, really quick to kind of immediately deviate from that little statement there was a story in modern day of there's this dude who was a streamer, and he was a prankster streamer, a Russian prankster streamer, where he would do these like really mean and like physically painful pranks to like his like friends, but primarily his girlfriend. And one prank, he just thought it'd be funny to she was like in like a bikini or something like that because of some skit or whatever. Opened up the door, shoved her out into the sub-zero like Russian winter, and slammed the door shut and locked it. Brought her back in, and she was unconscious. And guess what? She died from it. So yeah, streamer got arrested for it, and shit got extremely real very quick.
Yep. So you can never be too safe. Be careful with the cold, guys. If this is teaching anything, you could lose consciousness pretty quick, and then you'll die right after. So,
yep. No joke. It's like the ocean. Be careful.
Okay, so another method to revive frozen people, which is just the dumbest shit I've ever heard, was to boil water, like super hot scalding water, and then forcefully, quote unquote, irrigate it, aka inject it, said water, into major organs of the victim, including the stomach, small and large intestines, kidneys, and bladder.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's so intense, and whoa, there's no way anybody. That's right. That's not even like a smart idea. That's just murder.
Yeah, that's just a dumb idea. And just to put this on record, all victims of this method died naturally, as you could imagine.
Yeah, there's no way in hell that would have worked. God, that's so sad. And I hope they were completely unconscious for that, because that's because it's already like obviously any like extreme to another extreme on your body is just sometimes will just put you in shock and just kill you just from the shock alone.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually something we're going to talk about right now. That's funny you bring it up. The next method was to simply use a warm or hot bath. Now, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? The frozen victim would be placed in a warm or hot bath. And I should say it was mostly successful, but if the water, of course, was too hot, the prisoner would die of shock upon submersion.
Ah, geez. And isn't the actual way to combat hypothermia is to slowly heat them up, right? You don't want it too much or too little.
You start with cold water, and then you move on to like lukewarm and then hot. So in fact, because I have very poor circulation in my extremities. So I've gotten mild hypothermia in the past in cold situations, and the best thing for me to do is to put my hands under normal cold water first, and then as I start to get feeling back, then you move on to like warm water. That's what you're supposed to do.
Oh yeah, because I mean, like we've all been like kids, like you're in the jacuzzi and then you jump into the pool, and the pool, which might have already not been that bad, but the fact that you were just in warm water, it makes it feel like 30 times colder, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And your body just freaks out. So imagine that times like 100 for these guys, you know?
Oh, yeah. To a lethal level. So, yeah, not a fun way to go.
Not a good way to go at all. And this, okay, now I know I shouldn't be making jokes, but this last one's kind of a good way to go.
Oh, no.
Finally, the perverted Nazi doctors thought sex would be a good way to increase the body heat of a frozen person. So, they would take a frozen male victim and get a female prisoner and force them to have sex while a bunch of nerdy Nazi scientists watched and probably jerked off when they should have been taking notes.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's still a horrifyingly traumatic way to go about things, especially if you survived, because nobody likes it's like the fucking ending scene of Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, you're right. It is
kind of like that, but I guess it is better than being
thrown into a gas chamber or
if you're gonna choose I mean, obviously none of these are desirable, but if you had to pick away, I guess this would be the lesser of the evils. But at the same time, like we said before, even if it was successful, they would just shoot you anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So no, there's no winning.
It's just bad all around.
Yeah, exactly. And I should say that this method was sometimes successful, but not nearly as successful as the bath method that we just talked about. So,
yeah,
inconclusive.
Oh, and I wouldn't be surprised the bath method was the first thing they did and it worked. And they're like, cool. All right, now we have the rest of the day to do whatever we want. And That's why we have these stories.
They're like, hey guys, so I used before the war, I used to work in a restaurant, right? And I have these sun lamps in my storage. Maybe we could try using the sun lamps. They're like, yeah, bring the sun lamps over. We can give that a shot. And he's like, all right.
And I know it sounds like a joke, but like, dude, that's probably how it went. Like literally just a bunch of fratty, because these guys were probably just like their mid-20s or something like that. Just like, and they've basically been told, hey, spend your day to try to find creative ways to kill people. And they're probably brainstorming like it's a fucking English project.
Yeah, it's man, what a time, huh? Jesus.
Yep, the reminder here. These are bad people doing bad things, and the level of dehumanization it took to come up with this kind of shit and to treat it, like we said, like a fucking high school group project. That's scary. That is scary stuff.
What's scary about it is that a lot of us have the potential to do shit like this, but we don't because we're civilized humans. But it's scary that once you get that little bit of like green light from your government to do this kind of stuff, you're like, where the Jews at, you know?
Oh my God. Well, it's like that movie, the series actually. Fucking Jesus. My God, what's that thing? It was popular as a franchise for a bit where all crime's legal for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, no, I know what you mean, dude. I'm a horror movie fan, and I'm brain farting right now because I'm hungover.
Same. It was like the shit. It just came out, like a new one just came out. Oh my God, yeah.
This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing for both of us.
Let's see. Let's save this. All crime is legal for 24 hours.
The Purge.
The
Purge.
The Purge. That's what it is.
God, God, dude, I felt like we just grew extra chromosomes for a second.
We might as well have temporarily. But yeah, it's kind of, you take a situation like that. I mean, obviously it's a movie, it's fiction, but like, what if? Like, and you would probably be surprised at who would go down that pathway and who would be quicker to, it's like, you just don't know. Unfortunately, we're in a time and era, hopefully knock on wood, where that never has to be put to the test. But it's that old thing. It's like, sometimes it's just for dramatic effect for the movie. But when push came to shove, and in Nazi Germany, when there was basically an okay to kill a certain amount of people, I'm sure there were plenty that were shocked at which one of their neighbors were totally okay with it.
Yep. And I hate to tell you guys, but if there was a purge, I'd become the king. I would be the king of the purge. I would be doing all kinds of dumb, weird shit. All right.
Yeah, I could see that. I actually could see that without a doubt. I mean, survival of the fittest.
Oh, man. All right. Let's move on, guys. We haven't even gotten to the worst of it yet. So so that was the most detailed experiment in this category, right? But we do have a couple more that we need to cover before moving on. So there was also head injury experiments conducted to see, like, essentially they wanted to see how much trauma their troops could take to the head before permanent damage or death. So to kind of give an idea of how these things would go, there was a particular story of a young prisoner boy who was either 11 or 12 years old, and he was strapped to a chair for this experiment. Above his head was a hammer, and this hammer was mechanized. So every couple seconds, the hammer would release and whack the kid in the head, and then it would go back up. And then after a couple seconds, it would whack the kid in the head over and over and over again. So we aren't sure if he died. I'm assuming he did. But what is recorded about it is he was driven completely insane from the torture.
Well, yeah, that's like a 40 times worse version of the water torture, where they just like strap you down and all they do is just get like a leaky anything or something that just drips water on your forehead, and they just leave you there. And that's all they do. I'm fucked. They'll even feed you. But something about something repeatedly hitting your head in a weirdly rhythmic manner is like, I think one time, like me and some like friends, we were like really young, we like put it to the test, and like, oh yeah, no, it drives you fucking nuts.
Yeah, dude, it's like when me and my friends used to waterboard each other.
I am so not surprised. Did you get waterboarded?
Oh, yeah. I used to waterboard people. I used to get waterboarded. And the best part about the whole waterboarding thing is each time we did it to each other, we just got more erect, which was concerning, right? That's very concerning.
Interesting. Was it? So it was more of a foreplay thing. At least it was, controlled.
It turned into foreplay. I'll tell you that.
So I got to say though, as somebody who's experienced that, like, is it like, do you really do feel like you're drowning?
Yeah, it's fucking weird, man. It's not something I'd recommend.
Obviously.
But leave it to Guantanamo. Just leave it there. Do it to those guys, whatever. But don't do it to your spouse for fun.
No.
Don't get drunk on a Friday night and be like, it'd be really funny is if we pretended one of us was a terrorist and the other one was like a Guantanamo Bay officer. We just start, let's get the cheesecloth. Where's the towels? Where's the cheesecloth?
Ugh. Yeah, that's like the whole like autoerotic asphyxiation territory where there's a lot of ways that can go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Good God. Well, that was a fun conversation about torture.
Okay, yeah, let's move on.
But,
so sad.
yeah.
So sad. The kid got whacked in the head with a hammer over and over again. Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
So I could see it not killing him, but I could definitely see it causing brain damage for sure. I could see the kid just going crazy from being like bluntly struck on a rhythmic basis. And then they probably just shot and killed him in the end anyways.
Yeah. All right, onward and upward.
Let's do it.
Upward. I should have put something in the outline where it's like little breaks and we just talk about random shit for like a minute and then we can
we could do like the stage show thing. All right, everybody. All right, after that, how you feeling? You feeling good? You doing good? You ready for some more? Because we got a lot.
We got a lot to go through.
Good Lord.
All right. Here we go. We can do this. So another issue surrounding war, as we all know, is chemical warfare. And the Nazis were hard at work to discover ways to combat these gases if their troops were exposed. Mustard gas, in particular, was experimented upon. So at multiple concentration camps, including Sachsenhausen and Natzwelle. Learn to create a word, am I right?
You're not doing half bad.
So at these concentration camps and more, prisoners were purposefully exposed to high amounts of mustard gas. And this gave them horrible chemical burns, both internally in their lungs and externally on their skin, unfortunately.
Damn.
So after this, the victims would be tested to figure out the best way to heal these wounds, if they could be healed at all. And I did not find any conclusive information, so I assume they just did this to kill them, or if they didn't die from this, they just killed them.
Yeah, like you said, they would try it. They would try some sort of remedy for it, and either they would just... Well, because mustard gas doesn't kill you. It just hurts really bad, right?
It could kill you.
It
can
can,
totally kill you. Yeah, if you inhale it enough and quick enough, yeah, your lungs are fucked and you won't be able to breathe anymore and your throat will get all burnt.
Oh, and that's it. So
yeah,
I see. And like we said before, chances are we can probably fill in the gaps and say some immediately died. Some, they got the whatever they were testing on it and it made it infinitesimally worse. And then they just kept doing that till they died. Or some of them, it worked. Or maybe they just never found one that worked. But either way, the ones that made it out okay, either gas chambers or bullet between the eyes, like all the others.
They're like, hey guys, yeah, thanks for curing my burns, man. I'm so happy that worked. I can go back to my bunk, right? And they're like, yeah, you can go back to your bunk. It's in this chamber over here.
Oh. And it's like that probably happened. That's the thing, is like, I know we're trying to make light of it, but that's probably, in a way, paraphrased, of course, probably exactly what they did.
Yeah, we moved your bunk to a bigger room now. Yeah, you can have this big room in here. Why don't you step through the door? Oh, buddy. Sad, but true.
Extremely sad. Oh, man. We're going to have to start a Kickstarter to fund a trip to a concentration camp to make sure we feel guilty about this.
Yeah, I don't have a desire to visit a concentration camp, but I would do it just to learn more and not be as ignorant about what happened, because we all know the basics, right? We know It was no bueno. We know bad shit went on there, but it's like they're like museums now. I would like to go to learn more. I'd like to go to become a little bit less ignorant about the subject, but also I don't want to be that girl who what was she doing? Like there's a picture of some thought who like dabbed or something like at Auschwitz. I'm like, yikes, dude. Even I wouldn't do that, and that's saying something because dabs are dead meme, and she should have chosen a better one. That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, and it's almost And it's almost like, you can learn some stuff there. But I think the most important part about visiting a concentration camp is more of to firsthand see how real this was and how much of a reality this was for people. And that just death was just a part of it. Like, it's just, you know what? You're probably going to die tomorrow, or you're probably going to die next week. You might die in the next hour. And that nobody was coming to save you. Like, and that's just how it was. Your government abandoned you and wanted you dead. Even if you were lucky, and even if you made it through some of the bullshit they like, where you were strong enough, well, guess what? Cool. Then you just got to die a little bit later than everybody else. Like, that's just the reality. There were no free passes. And I feel going and seeing it firsthand is really what like hammers that home.
Yes. Poor choice.
So try to cancel us. Try to cancel us after that. Oh, God damn it.
All right. I know that you were super into that story about that little boy getting hammered in the head, but buddy, come on. You could have said anything else. You could have said, driven home the point, you know? Mm-hmm. But no, well, you said hammer.
And now I feel like I can't even, like, if I want to drink on the weekend, I can't even call it getting hammered anymore because I'm just going to get depressed. And I'm like, why are you so sad all of a sudden? It's like, I don't want to talk about it. Let's do our podcast, though, and you'll know why.
Okay, let's move on, guys, to the last experiment of this category. And it has to do with seawater, right? Under the sea, under the sea. You know,
interesting linking Disney with this.
Well, I mean, you know, Walt Disney was famously anti-Semitic, so.
Yeah, I definitely can understand that and see that. No, not.
You understand that? No, you're not cutting anything, man. You're leaving that in. So you're telling me, is it because you're an animator, right? And you look up to Disney? Is that why you're following all their little rules, right? About staying inside the lines and then how Jews are bad? Is that what you're doing?
Okay, maybe I walked into that one, but no, Disney was an okay artist and animator, but he was more of a businessman and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It was Ubiworks who really was like the real mastermind behind the Disney style back when it first started with Mickey Mouse.
Who's Mickey Mouse?
Shut the fuck up.
Dude, Minnie Mouse is such a thought. All right.
Yep.
Like, she always wore those little polka dot dresses.
Okay,
like,
let's not talk about Minnie Mouse.
I'm just saying, dude, it was a weird design choice, and there's a lot of furries now because of Minnie Mouse. All right.
I think Lola Rabbit was more of a cause for that than Minnie Mouse.
Both, man.
Oh boy. Well, see, we got rid of all the furries last episode. Now they're back. Good job, man. I hope you're happy.
Damn it. They're back. They're like, hey, Nick's starting to talk some sense. He gets it, man.
Yeah. I think he might be closeted about this.
Shows the furries their new bunks. Tell them what their new bunks are. We got this big room for you guys. Come in here.
Oh boy. Anyways, under the sea.
All right, under the sea, seawater experiments. So I want you guys to imagine again that you are a part of the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, and your plane is malfunctioning, or you're shot down and you eject over the ocean. How can you survive? You need water to survive, right? Well, the Nazis were sure worried about this happening to their troops. So at Dachau, I always want to say Dachau. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure it's Dachau. At Dachau, scientists there were trying to find a way to properly filter seawater to make it drinkable. In order to test these filtration methods, they would starve prisoners and force them to only ingest this quote-unquote filtered water. You'll see why I said quote-unquote in a little bit.
Oh, boy.
There was an account of about 90 Roma, a.k.a. the Romani people, a.k.a. gypsies. Apparently, it's offensive to call them gypsies now. I don't know why. I will continue to call them gypsies, okay? Because if Cher can call them gypsies, I can call them gypsies.
I'm glad you're at least addressing it.
Yes. So 90 gypsies who were starved and then given different types of filtered water, different types of seawater that were basically filtered using different methods, right?
I thought you said like meth seawater. I was like, well, that'll wake you up.
Yeah, I'll get you going. That'll get you out of your funk.
Yep.
So one more spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. The filtration methods didn't work because Nazis are retarded, and the Roma got so dehydrated that many died, and the others who didn't die could be seen licking at floors which were just recently mopped in order to get some kind of fresh water in their mouths.
That's so fucking sad.
Yeah, man.
Good God Almighty. Well, yeah. Remember, these are not doctors or scientists. They barely knew what the fuck they were doing. These were just murder. This was just murder. That's all it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did want to just point out here that this specific experiment conducted on the group of gypsies was led by a man named Hans Eppinger Jr., an infamous physician at Dachau who did all kinds of horrible shit. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because he was a Jew. He's a fucking dirty traitor. That's what he was.
That's awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, hey, he's like, okay, bring in the next ones. And then it's like a couple Jews come in for like some shitty experiment. And then one of the Jews is like, hey, didn't I see you at synagogue like 2 weeks ago? He's like, no, that wasn't me. That was somebody else. Anyways, lay on the table.
Yeah. And I wonder, do you think he like hit it, or was he just like, and I say this extremely like cautiously, as the Nazis would see it, one of the good ones?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't think he hit it. Yeah. I think they wanted his science. I think they wanted his doctor abilities or whatever. So they were like, we're not going to kill you, but you got to work for us.
Yeah. And it seemed like he was already kind of a shithead to begin with. So I think that was appealing enough to them of like, Jewish or not, this guy is a monster and we want that.
Yeah. And they probably killed him anyways eventually.
Yeah. I could see that.
Hey, this is kind of fun, huh, guys? Let's take a little break. I'm fucking...
Woo. Yeah, wow. Holy shit. What do you think about... so say you just watched a movie that was a little bit more fucked up than you expected. What do you do to calm down outside of jerk off to it?
Well, after I get post-nut clarity and I question why I jerked off to said movie... play some video games, maybe eat some chow, get some food, because that sounds kind of tasty right now. Let's just take a little intermission, right? Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Intermission. Woo!
Yeah,
no more,
Yeah, no more death, dying. If you're on the freeway, go take that first exit, go through that drive-through, get that snack you've been wanting. If you're at home taking it and you're working, go get up, oh wait, no, should we do sultry voice for this? Because we're supposed to bring the vibe up.
Yeah, bring the vibe up, man. Make it a sexual voice.
I bet you want something hot and steamy in your mouth. So get up, go over to that kitchen, light up the fire, put the water, and bring it to a nice bubble. Drop it in, get that shit all over that cup.
Yeah, baby. And then once you want a microwave burrito, I got a microwave burrito for you right here.
Yeah, I got White Castle stuff you could stuff right in your cheeks. Keep you busy for a good 3 minutes, just like the real me.
Yeah, maybe 30 seconds if you're lucky, bitch.
Unironically, I really love White Castles, but they always like when you burp afterwards, it just smells like a fucking like rotting animal corpse.
Dude, I had 16 White Castles last night, and my toilet experience today has been less than savory.
Yeah, that'll do it, man. Oh man, I've had so much like indigestion from White Castle stuff, and Buffalo Wild Wings, although they have gotten better lately.
They have.
Yeah, there was a time though, and granted, that was also the time when the both of us were eating like 20 wings per visit. That was probably a bad idea.
Yeah, we tortured our bodies a lot back in the day, and I think we're starting to mature a little bit. So
yeah, just a bit. Speaking of torture, let's go back to the episode.
All right, guys, enough of an intermission. You glad you clicked on this episode? All right, good.
I feel better. I feel refreshed. I feel like we are ready to move forward into the horribleness.
I feel better too. So let's get into the second category of experiments, the drug and treatment experiments. So first up were the experiments to discover how certain poisons worked and how to combat them. These experiments were conducted at Buchenwald, another concentration camp, between 1943 and 1944. And again, it did not sound like a groovy time at all.
Yeah, something about Nazis and poison in the same room just sounds like a recipe for something, whatever is the opposite of fun.
Yes, horror. It sounded like a horror.
Mm.
The victims were given poisons via food without their consent, of course. They had no idea that they were being poisoned, and so they could watch their actual reactions. You know what the saddest part about that statement is, my dude? Is they're like, oh shit, they're giving us food. It must be like a German holiday or something.
I was just thinking that. They're probably so excited to finally like get something reasonable to eat for once. And like I said, there's no winners and there's no such thing as luck there.
Yeah, it sucks, man. So these prisoners died as a result, of course, as we imagine. But so that was the goal in this one. It was blatant. They wanted them to die because autopsies would be performed on them in order to figure out how the poisons affected the body and what caused the death and all this kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. They would even use, and this is being extra. They would use poisoned bullets to shoot the victim in order to poison them. So instead of just poisoning their food, they'd be like, let's just dip it and rip it, you know?
Oh my God. It's like, why even bother poisoning bullets? I mean, that just sounds like that is extra. That's like, dude, you're already being shot. Like you're already kind of, that's already an attempt at murder. So it's like, that just seems, I guess I could see how they want to weaponize it and see how effective they were, but like that's still,
it's just, come on,
Yeah. They need to relax.
There were even documented cases of Jewish prisoners being injected with very strong poisons, which would cause boils to form all over them. And these boils would be filled with some kind of black fluid. And then naturally they would die from whatever this poison was. But there was no documents on what the poison was.
That sounds kind of like
the bubons.
Yeah, bubonic plague. Holy fuck. Maybe they had connections. Who knows?
Maybe they were trying to weaponize the bubonic plague, man.
Well, in World War II, I wouldn't be surprised. I bet that sounded very appealing at the time.
Yeah. Sounds appealing again, doesn't it, dude? There's 7 billion people on this earth. I think we need a plague. I think we need Look, I'm just saying, dude, I don't know if it's this episode rubbing off on me or not, but I think that we need like a Thanos type thing, or we need like,
oh my God,
but make it fair. So it's not just like one group of people. Make it like so there's an even chance of anybody getting snapped, getting, boom, snap and you turn into dust or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. We already have Corona. That was very insensitive of you, you fucker.
Thanos did nothing wrong, man.
Mm-hmm.
I stand by that.
Great subreddit, though, by the way. Were you there when they did they banned half the entire subreddit?
Yes.
That was pretty fun. I survived.
I forgot what happened to me. I'll have to check my medals. I think I survived too. Yeah, I survived because I couldn't get into the Soul Stone subreddit. So I survived. Yeah.
Which is, oh man, that'd be so awkward. It's like, the snap happens and yet both of us survive. We still do the podcast. We're like, so we're both here still.
And I'll be like, sorry about what I said. I didn't know what was going to happen. All right. I was just joking. But when you sit in traffic, you're thinking, man, Thanos had some good ideas, man. It's bumper to bumper over here. And what if there was like half the people on the road there is right now?
In certain situations, I'm sure it sounds mildly appealing. But regardless.
Okay, onward.
Yes.
For the next experiment in this category, do you guys remember Dr. Rasher, right, from the freezing experiments we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, he's back. All right, he's back with a vengeance, with another experiment. And this experiment was to help with blood coagulation. he was particularly interested in a substance known as polygel. Polygel. I'm pretty sure it's polygel.
Uh-huh.
And it was made from beet and apple pectin, which is a fiber that is found in fruits. And apparently, polygel, or this pectin found in these fruits, helps with blood coagulation. And I want you guys to think of something real quick. Before we talk about this experiment, I want you to picture this is like a holistic approach, right? You're taking something from fruits that have a slight chance to help with something major, right? So, sure, this might help you with like a little scrape if you fall off your tricycle, right? But
yeah,
I want you to keep that in mind as we go forward with this experiment and then see what they were trying to coagulate with this shit, okay? So Dr. Rasher would give prisoners a polygel tablet to ingest, and then they would be shot in the neck or chest. If they were lucky, they would have different limbs amputated without anesthesia, of course. They would then study the effects of the tablets they ingested, thinking, well, probably not really thinking, but hoping that it would some kind of coagulation would, like it was a miracle drug that they gave him, even though it came from a fucking apple. And so they would study the effects of the tablets they ingested.
So something pretty much, destined to fail. I'm no medical professional, but I have a feeling that coagulation doesn't go that far.
No. And that's why I gave the holistic speech right before. Yeah, maybe it'll help with like a little scrape, you get a boo-boo, but not this kind of boo-boo. All right. When you start getting shot in the chest and shit, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a cannonball wound, right?
Yeah, and like I'm sure the idea was if we can invent something that like auto heals you and like maybe not auto regeneration, but like imagine being on the battlefield, you shoot a Nazi soldier and just the hole just immediately closes. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, well then obviously they're probably still going to die, but you got a little bit longer, and also the horror factor, but that's science fiction. Like that shit, it's from an apple. You kidding me? Like, hell no, there's no way.
All of Nazi ideology is science fiction.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That's happens when you take it too far.
Another treatment studied by the Nazis was electroshock therapy. And of course, the Nazis were interested in electroshock therapy, right?
Yeah, the SS symbol was basically lightning bolts.
It was. Yeah, it was. Man, I see the problem, man. They're good graphic designers. They just used it really fucked up reasons, bro.
It's horrible. And that's half of like how it works so well is they had, and I say this very lightly, they had cool designs, and you know what?
And the uniforms and the,
it felt badass. And nowadays, and that's why we equate villainous organizations as having like coordinated outfits and all that stuff like that, because before Nazis, like it was cool. It was a badass thing. Fuck yeah, I'm part of this group. I get a fuck ton of cool medals. There's all this interesting symbolism and da. But yeah, they ruined it for everybody, because now we don't get to wear anything cool, because now it also means that you fucking torture children and shoot people with poison bullets.
Yeah. Like, let me put it for you guys this way, okay? I have a pair of Doc Martens that I love, okay? And it's because I like goth music, I like post-punk, and I wear fucking Doc Martens. But because of the Nazis, people either look at me wearing Doc Martens and think that I'm a Nazi sympathizer, or I'm like or I'm a lesbian, like a 90s lesbian, right? I don't get the it's just they ruined it, man. So,
cool shits always get ruined by shitty people, and that's always the way it's been.
That's a good point, man. And I'm you know what? I'm starting to think these Nazi guys aren't very good.
No, you might be onto something. They might be villains even.
Yeah, man. Oh, man, shucks.
Well, I'm glad we're learning things today. I'm glad we're seeing things for as they are.
So let's talk about this electroshock therapy, guys. So these experiments took place at Block 10, the infamous Block 10. And for those who don't know, this is the specific cell block of Auschwitz, where all the prisoners at the cell block were used as test subjects. So if you were like sent to Block 10, you knew what was going to go down. Like there was no when am I going to die? It's like, oh, it's happening now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's enjoy your last moments, essentially, when the order's given, huh?
Yeah. So they used for electroshock therapy, it was specifically for Block 10 prisoners. And for these experiments, they used specifically female prisoners. They would do it to either to enforce certain behaviors or to cease existing behaviors in women, or these women were just sick with some kind of illness, and the Nazis wanted to see if electricity could cure the illnesses.
Well, that's some Victor Frankenstein shit.
Yeah. But after the therapy was applied to these women, first off, it didn't work. And second of all, they just sent all of them to the gas chambers after shocking them. So,
yep. As we know, like we said, doesn't matter if you were successful or you weren't. There was no reward system. The reward system was, guess what? You weren't being rewarded at all. You were just given a more longer, agonizing existence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Women, right? Gee whiz.
That was the thing that Mengele used to do, right? When he would goad children into, because he experimented on kids and he would like play it like, oh, like here's a little something extra. You like give them snacks and make them feel happy. And then he'd fucking like stab their eyes.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. We're not even at the, I don't think we've gotten to the worst of this episode yet. And we are an hour something in, and I'm tired and I'm hungry and I'm getting flashbacks, and I wasn't even alive for World War II. So
collective consciousness flashbacks, huh?
Yeah. All right. Next one for this category were the sulfanimide experiments. So as a background, quick background, a chemistry lesson. Sulfanimide is a synthetic antimicrobial, antibacterial agent, and they are also known as sulfa drugs. So the Nazis, of course, wanted to see how far they could take these drugs as a cleansing agent for wounds of varying degrees. And they conducted these experiments at a concentration camp called Ravensbrück. You can probably guess where this is going, but I'll tell you anyway, because, you know, Papa Nick's not going to leave you in the dark for you, all you sick fucks out there. So, prisoners were intentionally given a wide variety of wounds, including, but not limited to, gunshots, knife wounds, beating wounds, all kinds of fun shit, right? And then their wounds, and here's the worst part, almost the worst part, their wounds were purposefully infected with various bacterium, like streptococcus. Anyways, it's the one that gives you strep throat, all right?
Streptococcus, I think.
Streptococcus. Oh, geez.
Putting the cock back in streptococcus, huh?
Anyways, yeah, it's the one that gives you a range of diseases, most notably strep throat in its barest form. But in its most extreme form, it can give you a flesh-eating bacteria, and that's usually the one they went with.
Always nice.
And they even put a bacteria in there called Clostridium perfringens, which is a causative agent for gangrene, which is, of course, a flesh-eating bacteria. So essentially what they do is give them really, really, really fucked up wounds and then give them a flesh-eating bacteria in the wound. But no, like Billy Mays, homie, that's not all. All right, there's more. So in order to further, quote-unquote, aggravate the victim's wounds that were already infected with gangrene and such, the scientists, and I use that very liberally, would shove ground up wood shavings or broken glass into the wounds after they were infected.
Jeez, calm down. What does that even do?
I don't know, man. Well, I don't know they just wanted to make it as bad as possible to see if the sulfanimide would work, and they would treat it with that afterwards. I don't think it worked.
No, because
I don't
torture.
As torture. I don't have documents on if the sulfanimide worked, but I'm pretty sure it's not a miracle drug.
Oh yeah, and if that didn't kill him, it was the fact that they were stabbed with broken glass as it was happening.
As their flesh was eating itself, they would then put ground up stuff in the wound. Man, what a time to be alive, huh?
Yeah, well, not for long, I imagine.
Yeah,
but
probably not.
Good God. See, and to me, that's always the big buzzword with like, yeah, torture, like, yeah, hammers and stuff. But I've noticed that when you bring up flesh-eating bacteria, that tends to be the point when people are like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, how'd you get your hands on that?
Yeah. I hope you're the only one thinking that.
Yeah, how'd you get? Come on. Tell me your secrets. Where can I get gangrene at?
Wasn't there a flesh-eating bacteria thing that kind of was in the past couple of years? Like, there was like a thing about that in the news?
Yeah, it was a big scare like Ebola, and then nothing happened. So
yeah, Ebola, they contained it pretty well. Which, I mean, you know, dude, if I had to choose between Ebola going global or fucking COVID, I'll take COVID any day, man. That shit, at least you don't bleed out every hole in your body.
Yeah, and throw up a bunch of black blood. And oh man, I read a whole book on Ebola once. It was awesome, man. It was like, yo, that is the ultimate. That's like super AIDS, you know?
Yeah, well, it's like almost like a Resident Evil type of deal, like with how much your body just like, it's like the whole turning into a zombie, except you don't turn into a zombie at the end. You just die a horribly long, painful death.
Yeah. And then live happily ever after, right? What a beautiful story. My God, this is a rough episode to get through. Because I'm just really hungry, right? That's my problem right now.
Trying to balance the wonderful images of consuming food with the wonderful imagery of flesh being rendered to nothing but scraps.
Yeah, man. Oh, it reminds me of beef jerky.
It shouldn't.
I know. That's why I'm afraid. That's why I'm afraid of what the purge would do to me.
I'll just say I'm glad we don't live in the same state anymore, because it's looking like we might be headed towards that someday. And yo, man, I don't want to have to do that fight, because we would have to.
Yeah, they're gonna call me gangrene because I'll be eating all y'all bitches, you know.
Gangrene Gary.
Okay, we're almost done, guys. Let's move on to the final category and the last section of this episode, in which we will be discussing some experiments that took place to further their Aryan ideology and agenda. Basically, their master race bullshit.
Here we go.
First and most notably, we have the experiments which the infamous Dr. Josef Mengele performed on twin children at Auschwitz.
Ugh. Particularly twins. So, like we said, there's no such thing as luck in concentration camps. If you found like you're in a cool situation, it ended up made things a lot, 1,000 times worse.
Yes. Basically, the rule of thumb during this time period was to not stick out, and twins stuck out, and they got the Nazis were like, hey, we could do something with this. And so never be different. All right. The point here is I want you guys to all conform, because if the Fourth Reich ever comes and you're all individualized and you're all your own person, guess what? Nazis don't like that shit. All right. And you're going to be like target numero uno.
Yep. Conformity. That's the first step to fascist takeover.
To survival. You must survive.
Well, hopefully that's not something we'll ever have to deal with, Nick.
Okay, I'm not going to do nothing, all right? Unless you're a furry, and be worried.
I'll just say thank God there's like games like Fallout to keep you busy, because I fear what you would be without video games to keep you subdued.
I'd become the ultimate adversary of mankind. I would become, but I wouldn't be like killing a certain group of people. Like, yeah, I'll take over the world, but I'm not going to like start any genocides. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that type of dude. I just want to take over the world.
Yeah, you're more focused on the arming the chimpanzees with the AK-47s, right?
That's my number one goal politically, is to get an army created of chimpanzees.
Yeah, you've been pushing for that pretty hard. So we'll see how that goes. At least, see, here's the thing is I think this is why they've been delaying Elder Scrolls. What is it, 5?
6.
Yeah, see, I fucking forget because we've been on the same goddamn one since 2011. But I think they're going to wait for when the idea, like, and we could even be talking about this of people from the outside looking in, seeing your latent potential to become a world ruler. And they don't want that because you're too unique in your ideas. So they're waiting for that. There's going to be this day where if you go out and you go to this, I don't know, beer hall and happen to run into a couple guys talking about something very interesting, and then they start getting heckled, and then you decide, you know what, fuck that dude. I agree with these guys. They're going to release Elder Scrolls 6 that day, and you're going to walk by the beer hall and you're like, oh wait, no, I gotta walk on over to GameStop.
Be like, and then Bethesda's gonna wipe their brow and be like, just saved all of humanity.
Oh yeah, the Pleiadians come down and just give them a thumbs up and disappear.
I'm glad that you think I'm a Nazi, man. That's cool.
Nah, just Nazi adjacent.
All right. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Inventing your own version.
My own version. Guys, I'm a lover. All right. I'm a lover. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want a certain group of people to be persecuted and killed. You know, all I said I want to do is take over the world nicely. But then once I do have control of the world, I will give fair warning to the furries. I will tell them, look, it's illegal now. You just can't do it. And if I see any of your furry shit online, then we have a problem. Then it's like, okay, then my special police force is going to knock on your door and kindly escort you to a van.
Yeah, and all the for a fact all those elevator cameras are going to get checked even more routinely to make sure they're no longer a safe space anymore.
If I see an ounce of semen in an elevator, I'm burning the whole hotel down.
That's hundreds of people out of the job. Now, do you want to be responsible for that?
No. So, Tasker, you know what? That's a good idea. You're now in charge of my propaganda department as soon as I take over the world. Okay.
God damn it. Like I said, I try so hard to like ground it and I end up just enabling everything. So you know what? Sometimes it's better to just not fight the current.
All right, let's continue this, guys. So remember, we're talking about the twin children experiments. So during the selections, and selections in quotations, that would take place at the Auschwitz's train platform when the prisoners would first arrive, any pairs of twin children would be immediately separated from their parents and taken away. Like Tasker said, they would normally say it in a nice way, like, hey, you guys want a lollipop or something? Come with me. Oh, don't worry. We just kill the adults here. The children are totally fine. We have goats and sheep and all kinds of shit you can pet. We have petting zoos. And the kids would be like, la, 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 let's go see the petting zoos, yeah. But that's not how it went down IRL, okay?
Yeah, a lot more dismal in the actual situation, I am sure.
Yeah, so the twins at this camp would be subjected to every horrible thing imaginable. Amputation, torture, insemination, exposed to many types of diseases, blood, bone, and muscle transplants and transfusions, and of course, just plain murder.
Yeah.
Mengele would use one of the twins as a control, and the other would have all the horrible things that I mentioned done to them. Now, it's a little confusing as to why they did this and their reasoning behind it. But that's what happens when you try to make sense of a Nazi's rationale. But what I could gather is that Mengele and the other Nazis believe that selective breeding could be utilized to create a group of people that would have what they considered desirable traits, both physically and behaviorally. The master race. Now, the twins come into play because since they share a genome together, any physical or behavioral differences between them would be due to behavior and not genetics, because genetically they're the same.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, it's a little hazy, but all you need to know is that thousands upon thousands of children twins died at the hands of Mengele and his men because of their crusade for the perfect genetic race.
Wow. That's really sad.
And I forgot to mention, once the first twin died from the experiments, like they always did, the other twin that was being used as a control originally would just be killed in the same methods. So,
yep, the usual step 2, except this was 40 times worse. When you got picked out because you were special, that was not a good place to be in. And keep in mind just the helplessness with these people of like, some might say like, well, why not just like, push for a quicker death? Well, guess what? That human instinct to survive is a lot stronger than you think. And we here sitting in our cozy wherever we are, it's a lot easier to be like, I would just make a break for it. So that way they would shoot me on my escape and I would just be dead and over with. And that's an end to it. Well, yeah, I mean, but the thing is, cold hard logic like that does not really apply when it comes to the human spirit. These people were systematically not being murdered, but getting their entire spirit crushed. And half of what made this so horrifying was, like we kind of mentioned earlier, is you're trapped here. You're going to die here. Nobody's going to help you. And that's just the end of it.
Yeah, man, this is heavy. This is some heavy shit, dude.
Yeah. And that's why it became like sort of like why we have like supervillains and why we have different ways of representing it and stuff like that, because we all know what they did was fucking horrible. But like when you really look at it, it ruins your day. And that's why we don't like always do deep dives, and people don't always like, or like, it's easy to just be like, oh, they were supervillains. There wasn't any nuance to it at all. They just fucking killed people and therefore they deserve to die. And yes, Nazis definitely fucking deserve to die for what they've done. But like, it's just because when you really look at what really happened and try to fathom that each individual person of the millions had their own unique horror to deal with before having their lives horribly ripped away from them, it's fucking not necessarily the best thing to think about in afternoon tea.
Yeah, that's why we tend to talk about aliens and we talk about cryptids and conspiracies, is because that's a groovy time for the most part.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, maybe I use anime as escapism, and maybe there is a deeper psychological reason, but hey, you know what? It's better than thinking about dead twins all day.
Yeah. I didn't feel very clean after writing this outline. I still don't feel clean. I'm trying to make jokes to make light of it, but it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to make jokes about this kind of stuff because you have to be like, okay, what's funny and what's offensive? I mean, I don't really care what's offensive, but what's going too far. You know what I mean?
Well, and yeah, too. And I mean, I feel like when it's like smaller cases, it's a lot easier to be a little like insensitive for the sake of humor. But like when it comes to, there are just some things where, and that's good. That means we have a humanity to us, but that sometimes there's just some things when you bring it up, it's like, even if you wanted to make fun of it, there's still that part of you that's just like, fuck, man.
Yeah, like I'll tell the joke, but I'm not going to be happy about it.
And that's good, man. See, like now I'm starting to, I've shifted a little bit more on the side of, oh, you know what? Maybe you won't be a danger to society.
Yeah, but maybe the Jews had it coming, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Nice backpedal, motherfucker.
Just kidding. We can cut that if you want to. Just fucking around.
We'll consider it.
All right. So on to another experiment. This one took place at many different concentration camps throughout World War II, and it was another one to study genetics. Basically, the Nazi scientists would gather up the usual suspects into groups: Jews, Gypsies, LGBT community. I put retards in the outline, but I will say the mentally deficient. The
Good
whole lot. I still had to point out what I put in there, but I'm trying to also point out that I'm getting better, right?
Yeah. Well, also too, I also feel like maybe you're just getting bored of the word.
I think I'm getting bored of the word because for some reason it's been coming up a lot lately. And I know why it's coming up a lot in this episode, but like, I don't know, man. I think I'm just done with it. I think I'm done with the word. I'm just going to come up with a new word for them.
Yeah, good for you, man. You had your fun, but sometimes you do it so much and you're just like, it just doesn't sting the way it used to.
I'm just going to say the people whose elevators don't quite get to the top floor. And the lot. So all of these groups of people, they were grouped up, gathered up, and then when they were in their own groups, they would be exposed to different diseases, and the scientists would see how each group was affected separately by said diseases. The Nazis would then use the data to see if there were any genetics in any of these groups which would be beneficial in fighting certain diseases. So they would see how one disease affects the Jews versus the Gypsies, and if one or the other was affected less or more, and they would just do all kinds of dumb shit with diseases and infect like thousands upon thousands of people just for, I don't know. Like we didn't get any data from it.
No, not at all, because it's quack science. Like it's ridiculous. Then when they're saying like, oh, well, these types of people, they died less. It's like, who's to say it's because of their racial makeup? Like who's to say maybe it's just their personal genetic code or their family line? There's just so many factors that this doesn't explain anything. It's just more excuses to kill people. This used to be like, hey, I've always wanted to inject diseases into people, see what happened. Let's see. Hey, we can do it now. Let's do it. And that's another thing that's going to be misquoted on me.
They're going to be like, Tasker, leader of the Fourth Reich, says. Yeah. And then you're just going to, right there.
I just want to just injecting people with diseases sounds fun, right? End quote. God, they're going to get us so hard with this, son. This is just a treasure trove for the cancellation squad coming for us.
Yeah, they can suck my left nut if I had one.
Yeah. Long forlorn tragedy in your life history, huh?
Nah, I got all three. I'm good, dude. All right.
Solid, man. Solid.
Finally, guys, this one sucks. All right. Finally, we are coming to the last of the experiments in our episode today. So you can rest assured that it's almost over and you can stop touching yourself.
Yep. And if you have been touching yourself this entire episode, shame on you.
Shame on you. God damn, man. There's Nazi exploitation movies you could watch to fill that. You don't need to listen to us talk about it.
I just feel there's so many better ways to go about this, but you know what? Whatever, man.
Yeah. All right. So look, guys, we're going to talk about the infamous sterilization experiments. Let's time travel back to July of 1933. A law passed in Nazi Germany called Law for the Prevention of Genetically Diseased Offspring, also known as the Sterilization Law. This was an actual statute in Germany at the time. This law essentially made it so that the involuntary sterilization of someone was legal if they had one of the following: mental deficiency, schizophrenia, manic depressive insanity, epilepsy, Huntington's disease, which is a neurological condition, blindness, deafness, or a very vague one, any severe physical deformity.
Which, by the way, does not really genetically, deformities don't get passed on. They're physical. Like, unless there's a specific like disease associated with it, just deformities themselves usually don't get passed on.
Yes, that is a very good caveat to put there. And also another caveat is that the Nazi Germany, they considered being gay or Jewish or a gypsy, pretty much anything other than white and blonde, to be a physical deformity. And that's how they justified this.
Oof. Now I gotta ask, how did they sterilize them? Because I do know that I don't know if there's really much forced sterilization going on, but I know chemical castration is what they call it nowadays. It's arguably the more ethical way to do it, where they just inject you with something and then your balls just don't work anymore, right?
Oh yeah. We'll get into that. We're gonna definitely get into some methods, everybody. Oh boy. Oh buddy. So within just 2 years of this law being put into place, and I'm just going to point out, guys, remember, this is long before World War II even started. It is just when the Nazis came in power. 1% of the citizens who were 17 to 24 years old of age had already been sterilized against their will, just 2 years after the law was put into place.
Now, keep in mind, 1% is a fucking lot of people.
That's a lot of people in a very populated country. That's a big age range, 17 to 24. So that's a lot of people right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And then within 4 years of the law, still before World War II, 300,000 people total had been sterilized against their will.
Jesus Christ. That's goddamn. That's so fucked up.
And then when World War II began, sterilization experiments were done at various concentration camps, including Auschwitz and Ravensbrück, by one Karl Klauberg, a Nazi gynecologist. Ladies,
that made me feel gross.
That's not what you want to hear when you go in to get something checked out down there, and all of a sudden you hear a German accent and he's got a syringe full of silver nitrate. Okay.
Well, that's what happened at the border, the Mexican border, with the families they detained there. Did you hear about that? How they started like just kind of almost borderline randomly just sterilizing Mexican women just because?
That sounds like Nazi shit.
It absolutely was Nazi shit. They would tell them, "Oh, hey, we need to do like a quick operation just to like check if everything's okay medically and blah 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 blah," and they would be sterilized. And they're like, what the fuck did you just do? They're like, we need to do it. Sorry.
Like, sorry.
Literally. Yeah. It's fucking this shit's. And that's the thing that's so scary is this shit, given the opportunity, will still happen. And, you know, America's doing its fucking damnedest to shut the fucking door on all of this. Because notice how we haven't heard anything about the repercussions of that lately.
Scary, isn't it? Scary that they can get away with stuff like this.
They're saying the same thing with Trump. There's a whole scary parallels of how his first rise to power, you know, didn't really work. And all it takes is one crazy revolution. And, you know, maybe not him, but maybe somebody influenced by him. He might be the Karl Marx of the, like I said, the first American dictator. So who knows? Fun stuff.
This episode's going to get taken down by YouTube.
100%. Cyberbullying.
All right. So the whole point of these experiments were to figure out the most efficient methods of sterilization for mass population purposes. Basically, for millions of people in the shortest duration possible. And here are some methods that they tested. Women's fallopian tubes were blocked by different injections. So they would inject them with certain chemicals that they thought would block fallopian tubes, or they would surgically block fallopian tubes. I just found out that a fallopian tube was a thing today. So I'm learning something from this.
There you are, moving towards your gynecology degree, huh?
Ladies, I'm a amateur gynecologist right now. So I'm just working on the medical part.
Oh my God. What was that one? The Everest College video. That's right. I'm studying gynecology. Yeah. That's right. I specialize in ovarian observations. And I do. God, that video.
Intravenous injections of solutions containing iodine and silver nitrate, which worked, believe it or not, and that's probably what you were thinking of, Tasker, but it does have horrible side effects like vaginal bleeding, internal bleeding in the abdomen, and cervical cancer.
So not great situations to have.
No, not good at all.
Nope.
Although to be fair, they should probably be used to the vaginal bleeding. I don't know.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
I don't know, dude.
Not even remotely close to what we were talking about. Nice try, though.
I never claimed to be a biologist. I just know little things. Another method was radiation, and high enough amounts to cease a person's ability to produce sperm or eggs. So they would just blast the shit out of their reproductive organs with radiation. And in the same vein, they would also use high amounts of X-rays on women's abdomens and men's balls.
That's mean.
It's gross. But guys, sometimes if they were just feeling lazy, they would just remove people's reproductive organs without anesthesia just to get it over with.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. That sounds like one of the worst things ever.
Yeah.
Now, to cap this off, I don't know if they ever found a way to make it easy to sterilize people like the masses, but they're a bunch of failures, so I'm not surprised.
Yep, a bunch of fucking big loser idiots who fucking sucked at living, got the chance to just murder people, which, by the way, I'm telling you, does not take a lot of education to be able to do that. Just a bunch of morons that accomplish nothing except for causing immense suffering to so many people. And just to put into perspective how fucking horribly painful, I went through something that was objectively not that painful at all, and it fucking sucked. I was microwaving. I was heating up some beans because I was making a burrito. And,
you're Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's okay. I can do that.
No, I know.
Reasonably.
I know. I'm just saying that I'm not like, come on. Like, what else would you be eating?
Hey, man, it's cheap and it's filling. What the fuck do you want me to say? It's delicious. And who doesn't like burritos? I mean, come on. But the microwave went off because I was heating up the beans because I was feeling lazy that day. I wasn't pan heating it. And I was opening a window. And then the dinger went off. And I was so hungry that I kind of like did like a leap to like, leap towards the kitchen to be able to get my food. And I had a little physics lesson because there was a little 5-pound weight on the ground, which remember you could kick those things aside like nobody's business, right? And in my full leap, I went my right foot went full force into it. And I went down like a fucking rake, just like thwack, and cracked my knee up against the hardwood floor. And like, I like killed like half of my middle toenail. And that hurt like a son of a bitch. I was like, fucking like shouting and stuff. And that was just a glorified stubbed toe. Now, when we're talking about getting your reproductive organs removed without any anesthetic, it doesn't even compare. These people were going through this shit all the time, all day, every day. And it's almost sad to say that if you got hit with the gas chamber, that was almost merciful compared to the other shit that you had to deal with.
I hate to say it, but you're right. Dude, I was thinking it. I'm glad I wasn't the one to say it, but fuck, you're right, man. Because that, honestly, it was either the main ways that people died that we know about from our history books and shit was the gas chamber and then firing squad. Those are, you said it, man. Merciful compared to all the shit that we listed in this episode today was favorable between, and that was the lesser of evils.
And that's saying a lot because getting firing squad or a gas chamber to death is a horrible way to go. And that was the merciful way. That was the easiest. That was the least painful. And it was that fucking bad. So I think a big thing that I feel is always really important when we talk about Nazis is perspective. And to really get the idea of, as they say, the higher the number it is, the more it just feels like a random factoid versus like, I mean, we lose our fucking shit when 2 people get murdered in LA. But like this, when we really think about the millions, it's too much for our brain to fathom because even just one death is already overwhelming for us to deal with. I mean, if you've never been around it before, never been exposed to it, and you were walked out and you saw some dude just fucking keel over and die in front of you, you'd be fucked all week. So it's just, it's perspective.
Yeah. And man, it was a rough episode to get through. And Tasker made a lot of unsavory jokes. But
I was really, really off the collar today, huh?
You have to, though, because guys, I want you to picture something. Picture this. Picture we went through that whole episode without a single joke. How would you feel? Would you feel good or would you feel kind of sticky? You know what I mean? Because I feel sticky. But I wrote this and I looked at pictures and the pictures weren't awesome either. I'm going to just say it wasn't like, sure, I've been on gore.com and I've been on, all the 4chan and all that bullshit, but it's still not cool. It's not fun,
No. Well, it's like, dude, if you wanted to listen and like learn from all this stuff and like feel depressed, that's what the goddamn History Channel's for. I mean, like we said before, we're not a history podcast. This isn't our deal. We're just trying to get by and have a good time as well as we can, talking about the inhumane murder of millions of people who didn't deserve it.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, thank you, Rassel Frassel, man. What a topic.
You did this to us. Hey, we couldn't be more grateful.
We love you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. This was, it was high time we did a Nazi episode and glad we made it through. I feel like our take on it was probably, I'm sure there's worse out there.
Oh, totally. Yeah, because we're not like supporting it. I'm sure there's some podcasts out there telling the same exact story. And then at the end, they're like, it's a pretty good idea, actually. And there's probably some podcasts out there that are taking notes from this. You know what I mean?
Oh, I am sure. Probably even though, like, you think the flat earthers and Nazism, you think that might be a connect or nah?
Okay, well, I believe the earth is flat and I'm not a Nazi, so I might be an outlier, but there very well could be. I don't know.
Who knows? Interesting. Well, congratulations. You made it to the end of the episode. Wherever you are, in the car, hanging at home, working, whatever you're doing. I wonder how much you winced to this episode, or maybe you got a big old hard on going on right now, or if you're a lady, things are a little bit hot and bothered, in which case it's not good. That's not good. You should be ashamed of yourself. Don't be erect.
Yeah, don't be a gentleman. Please don't be erect. And ladies, I don't need it looking like Hurricane Katrina down there. I don't need it. But we are happy that you listened and that you stuck through with us and that you guys even click on our episodes because we love all of you platonically.
Absolutely. And in no way that crosses any sort of contractual or legal boundaries. But I think it also does go without saying that. I mean, like, it's not even, we don't even have to sugarcoat it. Obviously, Count Chocula was involved with this. Like, obviously, he had some, I feel like we've even brought this up before about his involvement in all the concentration camps.
We have talked about it because it's 100% true and it needs to be known. Count Chocula is and was an SS officer. He knows this shit inside and out. He probably helped Mengele perform some of those twin experiments. So, and there's no doubt in my mind.
Well, and all the more reason why he needs to be stopped is because he's already seen it work once before and then be thwarted. So the guy, it's like bacteria, if you take all your antibiotics and it kills all of them, no harm, no foul. But the one that survives learns how to survive even more and becomes stronger there from that point onward. So by him getting by and escaping to Argentina and, surviving with all the other officers and, growing to where he is today, we just can't let it happen because there may not be a going back if he's able to succeed. And if you are in Argentina listening to this, that might be a base of operations. So keep a lookout for us if you could.
Stay frosty, Argentina. There's a lot of Nazis there, including Count Chocula. So, and also if you're in Cuba listening to this, stay frosty. I heard Tupac's down there somewhere. R.I.P.
R.I.P. indeed. Well, of course. Oh, man. All respect to all the victims involved with all this horrible bullshit that happened. And we're hoping that it'll never happen again. But thank you all for listening. Thank you for making it through this. This was a very interesting episode, I will say for certain. I know there's thousands of people who talk about it, and we're glad to join the masses for it. Of course, if you're listening on iTunes, if you could hit us with a 5-star rate and review, that would really help us out, really boost us up with some visibility. If you're listening on Spotify, if you click that follow button, you could get notified when we have new episodes, and it makes our number go up and gives Nick and I a little bit of an ego boost. But we do have new episodes every single Wednesday. Instagram is at CEOTPK. Our YouTube is Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind, where you'll find every single one of our episodes except for Bill and Hillary Clinton Part 2, which is bullshit. Twitter is at CEOTPK1. Facebook, Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind, where you will find all these links above and more. You can email us at ceotpk1@gmail.com. Discord is discord.gg/lowercase b, number 6, capital C, capital T, number 5, capital M, capital X. As you have seen, we do have a channel where you can recommend episodes. And like this one, maybe one of your episodes will make it up next. So, feel free to post there. I mean, we welcome it. Join our Discord community. It's really fun. We also have coffee, ko.fi.com/CEOTPK. Like we said earlier, we got a huge donation, and that's fucking awesome. We appreciate it, and we are definitely making use for it. Don't feel the need to donate that much, though. That's a lot of money. If you just have a couple bucks that you want to send our way, feel free to, but you are under no obligation. But if you do, and you want us to read off your thing for the show, or you just want a little shout out, we're more than happy to read what you got to say if you send us a donation. So, you know what, do what you will, but we're happy that you're here. We're more than happy that you just click the button then to listen to this.
Yeah. We're not asking for donations. We're just saying, if you guys want to if you have something that you need to tell the world on a platform that reaches the internet, if you donate and you leave a little message and you say, hey, read this. And if it's good to read on the internet.
So no posting your manifesto unless it's really fucking funny.
If you have a really good manifesto, I'm like, oh, this guy's making some good points. I'll read it.
So with caution, but I mean, of course, if you want to remain anonymous, just stay anonymous. If you don't say you don't want us to read it or something like that, we'll probably just read it. But that's with where we're at, that's kind of the best we could do right now. And like we said, donating is optional anyways. It's the best we could do.
Yeah.
For now.
But we love you guys. Either way, thank you for even listening and continuing to listen to us. We appreciate it. We appreciate that you appreciate us. There's a lot of appreciating happening here. It's getting a little too mushy. All right.
Yeah, this is true. So how are you going to break the mood?
We can cut that. I don't know.
Yeah, you're too filled with love and light, man. You're too far. We had so much negativity. You actually can't be negative right now.
Dude, don't corner the Dorner, man. Don't put me in a corner like that. There, I just broke it. All right.
Good job. There it is. Just needed a little bit of a push.
You started talking about manifestos. I was like, dude, Chris Dorner was crazy, man. And then I was like, oh shit, don't corner the Dorner. That was a classic line back in the day.
It was, despite how sad and scary the situation was a little funny. Oh my God. So I think that's everything we need to say today, right?
That's it, guys. So listen, whether you think Joseph Mengele should be castrated by injection or just by straight up surgical removal, the truth is out there.
So of course I can't condone that kind of behavior, but I'm legally obligated to say, no, it's not.
They tended to learn more, or let me redo that. Fuck.
Tendies.
Tendies.